Good evening and welcome. I'm Paul Van Remortel. This is Angelina Morabito. We are here at Catholic University in Washington, D.C., an event sponsored by the D.C. Federation of College Republicans. Tonight, we are going to show you how to build a successful grassroots program on StandUnited. We are going to start with a video, and then we're going to walk you through some slides. We're live on Facebook. Welcome to our Facebook audience. Let's roll the video.
We live in an amazing time. Technology has radically transformed our lives. It has changed the way we learn, the way we do business, the way we communicate with family and friends. The world is now literally at our fingertips. We are no longer blind to the cares and concerns of others. Every day, we have a front row seat to the unfolding of history, the good and the bad. It's happening all around us, and we get to see it firsthand. We know our future is at stake. We've all felt powerless, overwhelmed by the destructive policies and liberal agendas that swirl around us day after day. We also stand at a crossroads. Some might say a precipice. Sometimes, it seems that the world of new media exists solely for the purpose of promoting the destruction of the issues we care about most: faith, family, and freedom. All that has changed. Through StandUnited.org, thousands and hundreds of thousands of like-minded, concerned citizens can join together, make their voices heard, and rally around conservative causes. The playing field has been leveled. This is your outlet, a petition site that won't bury, but rather champion your grassroots effort. No issue is too small. No idea is too big. The time is ours to stand together, to put energy and focus behind the things we believe in. Through your online petitions, you can reach the thought leaders and decision makers that otherwise would be insulated from your voice. But it all begins with you. Every movement begins with a passion, and that movement grows and gains momentum, one signature at a time. So what are you waiting for? Be the difference you want to see. You can do something. You can make a difference. And who knows, possibly change the course of history. It's time to take a stand, make an impact. Visit StandUnited.org today to see how easy it is to start a petition and take the first step towards action.
Think about that. I mean, it's inspirational, right? But to think that one person with one idea and some momentum behind it can actually change the course of history. And we actually see that throughout history, even in the last, in our generation, in the last few decades. We see the power of an idea and the mobilization behind it and a movement being created. And the amazing thing about the time in which we live is we have these tools that can now bring people together behind a movement and enable the grassroots, the grassroots momentum to build up and to really shape the decision-making process and really to influence the outcome of issues across the different levels of government, local, state, federal, but not just government. I mean, it could be a civic association. It could be the policies of a company or a private entity. So let me turn it over to Angela, and she's going to walk through some of the slides, and then we're going to alternate on some slides At any time, if someone wants to throw out a question, we will have time for questions at the end. But if someone wants to interject, please feel free. We want to make it as interactive as possible. So, Angela.
All right. So, thank you, Paul. We've talked a lot about how the digital age can work for conservatives and how we can make it work for us. But I'm going to take you very far back to the history of petitioning, because it is new the way that StandUnited uses it, but petitioning as a method is very, very old. It goes back to, thousands of years ago in China. They actually had a system where any citizen could present a petition, and most of those were about corrupt public officials, and those went straight to the people in charge. So there's a great tradition of this. It continued in Britain through the industrial age, and in the U.S. Constitution, actually, petitioning in America predates that. I don't know if we have any American Gov or civics majors or history majors. I'm seeing some nodding. Okay, so this should sound familiar to you. In 1774, there was a petition for the redress of grievances, where the colonial Congress got together and they wrote a letter to King George, a petition that said, repeal the coercive acts, open up the port in Boston, and in exchange for that, we'll be loyal to you. Like, if you play nice, we will not have a revolution. Obviously, we know how that turned out, and in the span of a few months, they said King George didn't do his part, he didn't agree, so we're going to declare our independence. I'm also going to quiz you, so if you nodded your head to the government and civics major question, this is your time to shine. What amendment to the Constitution includes the right to petition the government? Yes, very good. Amen. Well done. All right, I'm impressed. So petitioning has continued in the U.S. It used to be people standing on the streets with clipboards. Now, fortunately for all of us today, it's much easier to do. So StandUnited is glad to be a part of that.
Okay, so here we are at Catholic University. North Capitol Street is right over here. You just go down North Capitol and you run smack into the Capitol. So here we are at the seat of government. So the folks here in this region, they have a pretty good understanding of how our sort of interest group, pluralistic government works. But what we're showing here is the paths of influence. And the reason we're showing this is, look what you're competing against. If you have an issue and you are trying to influence the decision-making process, and this could apply, not just to Congress, this could apply to the state level, to a city council, all the way down to a school board. You're going to have these different pressure points and these different paths of influence. So if you are a citizen, right, you maybe come through here, individual constituencies, grassroots lobbying, and you're taking the citizen participation route, you see what you're going up against, right? You have intermediaries, you have lobbying alliances, you have key contacts, you have direct lobbying, right? All trying to influence this decision-making process. So all this means is you better have your act together, and you better organize, and you better work at creating a movement. And so we're gonna walk through that, but this is just to show, look, this is the reality. We have a system, for better or for worse. Now, I guess the alternative is an oligarchy, but this is what you're up against. So know that going in, if you are trying to create a grassroots movement, know that it's going to take work, and you're going to need every tool at your disposal to organize. So going from the history of petitions that Angela talked about to today, why this leap, why is that important? What makes a platform like StandUnited so powerful? And really, it comes down to shareable content. You think about a post on Facebook. You think about a picture uploaded to Instagram. You think about Pinterest. What all these have in common is you have content that is shareable and then can reach millions, in some cases hundreds of millions of people. And so what StandUnited and the other petition platforms do is take the petition, put it, apply it to the modern era, and make a piece of shareable content. So you go to StandUnited, create a petition, and it's obviously one click sharing across Facebook, but your content is hosted on StandUnited, and you're able to basically drive folks there. Folks can share it across all these different networks, but you have a piece of content that can go far and wide. And so we're taking the petition and putting it in the modern age. And just very quickly, obviously you get the network effect, and you can reach all these people. On the downside, you're competing, right, against more content. There's more noise out there, and that gets back to the importance of the power of numbers and being organized, because you can amplify your message and drown out those other competing voices if you have an organized movement behind you, and you get folks sharing your content. So these are kind of basic, but we want to bring you from the petition that everyone knows about to really fundamentally why this works for our modern digital age.
All right, so now we're going to talk about how to make StandUnited and make petitioning work for you. But before I do that, I just want to say hello. I know we have college Republicans tuning in from BYU, so we're glad you're with steps. So the first one is pretty obvious. It's identifying a cause. For you guys at the campus level, campus issues are going to be especially pertinent, but I'm definitely going to encourage you to also think bigger than that. There's no issue too big or too small. We've had really great petitions come out of small communities. In fact, just today, we found out that a petition was successful in a rural county in West Virginia that was trying to save a local high school. The school board has now said that the school gets to keep going. People are super relieved. And their petition had, I think, under 2,000 signatures. So even just a handful of signatures in the broad scope of things can be tremendously impactful in a small community. Now, for examples of causes, you don't necessarily have to think about the government. So we have a petition that's brand new, just went up, that's petitioning JCPenney to stay closed on Thanksgiving. They're scheduled to open up at 3 p.m. So it's like, eat your turkey really fast, and then if you work at JCPenney, you're going to be back at work dealing with early Black Friday craziness. So we're petitioning them to respect the holiday and stay closed. That one's brand new. There's also a national level petition. This is also not government. This is asking the NFL to require all its players to stand for the national anthem. We're looking at you, Colin Kaepernick, basically. We can see what he's doing. The NBA actually requires them all to stand. It is a league rule. So we're saying, NFL, get it together. But government petitions work great as well. There's one live on the site now that's over 12,000 that is in favor of a bill in Congress that requires the VA mental health crisis line to answer all the calls that it gets. A lot of them are overflowing to places that aren't trained to deal with mental health issues for veterans. Some of them are going to voicemail, and it's just like, why is that happening? So it's a common sense solution that not a lot of people know about, and a petition is a great way to raise awareness. So, Paul, second step.
This is very important, and it may sound obvious, but when you're thinking about your issue and who you are petitioning, make sure that that person or that entity or that group can actually take the action that you're requesting. So when we say identify your decision maker, they have to be able to bring about the outcome, right? That you're requesting, that you're demanding. So give that some thought. Sometimes it's not as obvious as you might think. Sometimes it takes a little bit of research. You might also think, okay, well, if it's a local ordinance, should I go after the mayor or the city council? You could think about maybe a media strategy as well. Okay, who can I put more pressure on? Like, who might be more susceptible to this kind of pressure? But make sure that the outcome that you are petitioning for is actually attainable.
All right, so the next step is going online to StandUnited.org and building your petition. This part, we guide you through it on our site. You're going to see a screenshot here in a couple of slides. But there are two main parts to this. And the first part is giving a brief background. And the second part is actually writing your petition letter. Obviously, you can do it from a laptop. You can do it from a phone as well. I know a lot of us are about to be stuck in airports over Thanksgiving break. So this is accessible to you at any time and any place that you have an internet connection. One question that I get a lot is, how long does a petition need to be? And the answer to that is only as long as it takes to explain your cause and why it matters. I know that you all are great writers. We get really wonderfully written petitions all the time, but short and sweet can go a long way in this case.
Be concise, state your case, and you're not writing a novel here. There are people who will have no idea what your issue is. So you want to write your petition in a way that someone who's reading it for the first time can say, oh yeah, okay, well that makes sense. And if you can put a personal story around it, all the better.
Yeah, the press loves personal stories. And one other thing that can really help your petition is having a great photo. Wikimedia Commons, all public domain. There's a bunch of public domain sites out there where you can get a really eye-catching photo. But probably the easiest way to do that is take the picture yourself. And then the second part of the statement is share it with friends, family, neighbors, like-minded individuals. The hardest signatures that you will get on your petition are the first 10. And then 50 gets a little easier. 100 is much easier, and it starts to take on a life of its own as it starts to spread through the network. But the best first step for you after you hit publish is sending an email to your family, your roommates, your friends in College Republicans, the people in this room. Start there. Start there and let it spread. But you got to keep going, and we'll get to that.
We're going to talk about this fourth item a little bit in a couple slides. Don't be intimidated by the idea of contacting the media, especially local or state level. You need to let them know that you've created this petition. The earned media, the articles that you can get written about your issue will tremendously give a tremendous boost to your petition. And it's not as hard as you might think. It could be tweeting a local reporter, find their email address. They list their email addresses in their byline. You can pick up the phone. Reporters still use phones. Tell them what your issue is, and for a local paper, news website, a petition on a site like StandUnited is actually a newsworthy story. It's actually something that they will write about. So take advantage of that and get as much publicity around your issue as you can.
Also think about starting with your campus paper. They can be a great resource because, especially if it's a campus issue, but even if it's not, even if it's just something that you care about and it's an effort that you're starting as a student, the campus paper can be, a tremendous help. All right. And step 5 is don't give up. I told you those first 10 signatures were the hardest, and you will find that to be true. Just keep going. The issues that come to us on StandUnited typically aren't things that go away. These are things that people are fired up about because they're affecting their lives. So, if it's been a week since your last Facebook post on this topic, do it again. If there's somebody you haven't talked to in a while, but you know that they're connected to people who would care, send them a Facebook message and just asking, hey, could you please do me this favor? That can go a really long way, especially if they care about it too, and you're helping them and they're helping you, and it's one big happy is the end of this.
Yeah.
But especially with media, just be politely persistent. You want to make these people your allies because they can help you, and in a lot of cases they'll want to. But we're living in a world where everybody is overwhelmed with information. So don't give up.
Be tenacious.
Yes.
Be tenacious.
All right, so this feeds into the last part of our prior slide quite a bit. When Paul mentioned that putting a personal spin on things can help, this is why. If you can tell a personal narrative about this issue and how it's impacting either you or someone else, that can be a really compelling story. And reporters like it because when you've told the personal narrative, you've kind of like pre-written half of their thing, so it helps them too. Citizen petitions are a big deal because you become a source for the media. So when you talk to them, the biggest help to you is going to be the petition you've already written. And the second biggest thing that's going to help you is the reasons for signing that show up below. Whenever you or anyone else signs a petition, you're allowed to write a comment. It works almost exactly like a Facebook comment. It's that easy. About why are you signing this petition? And we've had petitions where we think, oh, well, people will sign this because they care about veterans and they want to cut government waste. And then we'll get reasons for signing that say, I've referred someone to the crisis hotline, or I've used the crisis hotline. I mean, I'm using that one as an example in particular because the personal stories that came out from people have just been so amazing. And then our third note here is when your petition has lots and lots of signatures because you are tenacious and persistent, you can make a press event out of delivering the petition. That being said, don't go crazy. Make sure that when you're delivering it to someone, you are playing by the rules of their organization and their office. But most offices around DC are pretty open. And you can get on your phone and you can Facebook Live, or you can record a quick video, even snap a couple photos of, hey, I printed out all these names and I am putting this on someone's desk. That's really compelling. Our platform also allows for people to post updates to their petition. So, like I mentioned, these issues don't go away. If there's a city council meeting and it got voted on a certain way, or maybe there's a meeting coming up where you want people to turn out to it, that is a great reason to go on StandUnited and post an update that'll show up at the bottom of your petition.
Yeah, we've all heard of groups, going in front of Congress or a congressional committee or a city council meeting and literally dropping off the signatures or the postcards or whatever. Advocacy groups do it, and there's no reason why you can't do it, or she can't do it, or I can't do it. In fact, a number of successful petitions, going back really decades, have used that tactic, and we're not saying blindside the decision makers. By all means, tell them you want them to know about your petition. Because depending on the response that they give you, that could be a news story. Their response could all by itself be a news story, or if they blow you off, then there is a whole different aspect to this issue where the decision maker is ignoring someone's point of view, or is ignoring an important aspect to the debate. So. And we've touched on this, but really think about a campus issue, a community issue, a school board. We've had where our office is in Reston. There's a parking issue. We've had, speaking of parking issues, we have had high schoolers start petitions because the seniors had nowhere to park. The great thing about petitions is when you go down to that local or hyper-local level, it doesn't take as many signatures to really make a big impact. So on a hyper-local level, 25, 50, maybe 100 signatures can really draw attention to your issue and could really push your issue right over the edge. Keep that in mind. No issue is really too small. The more you have researched and understand the decision-making process, right, the better, the better chances you're going to have of success. But it can work for very, very small issues, and that's something to keep in mind. And so we like to say that StandUnited, even though it is a petition website, really the power behind the petition tool is the fact that we're bringing this audience, to bear. So we have well over 1 million now petition signatures. We're coming up on 2 years old. Well over 1 million Facebook likes. We're growing quickly. So what that does for a citizen activist is, by coming to StandUnited, you have this audience that you can tap into, and that gives you a jump start. That gives you a better chance, to build momentum, maybe to push you over, that first 100 signature mark. Of course, we have the sharing tools and everything that makes it very easy to get your petition on Facebook and Twitter and other networks. But it's the audience, and it's getting bigger, and we're going to grow to be quite large, and we're actually having a lot of fun doing that, because we're seeing people really come to the platform and bringing great petitions and great issues. So
definitely, we get great ideas that are sent to us every day, and we're of course super thankful for that. And we know that all of you on Facebook have great ideas too. And another thing we want to mention is that when you go in to build a petition, you can set your signature target. For local petitions, that could start at like 100, maybe 500, depending on the size of the community. For national, of course, you want to go probably 1,000 to start. And then if and when, emphasis on the when, you come close on that target, you can bump it up. So please do not, I get a lot of questions all the time saying, how do I know the right target? Start with a modest expectation and be ready to surpass it, and then log on again, and at the touch of a button, you can increase that limit. We increase signature targets all the time because things take off, and that's always a really fun thing.
And Angela, her job is to help make petitions successful. So we have staff who will answer your questions, help take your petition to the next level. Your success is our success, and so we are. We're there. We're behind the scenes. We have a help section as well, but we will help get your petition moving, answer any questions you have. And speaking of questions, and by the way, this is how easy it is to start a petition. You're just filling out a few form fields here. Once you click Start My Petition, then you have the option to either upload a photo or a short video, and then from here you can set your targets. But this is really how you get started, so you can see how simple it is. We do want you to put a lot of thought into it before you fill this information out. You want to again make sure you're persuasive and concise and all that. But as far as using our platform, it's quite simple. So, do we have any questions? We have a few minutes. How are we on time?
We're good.
So
Great.
Probably 5-10 minutes.
we can take a
Awesome.
few questions. Do we have some Facebook folks who?
Yeah, if you're in this room, of course, please raise your hand. If you're watching on Facebook, we have someone monitoring the comments, so ask away. Oh my gosh, lots of hands. All right, let's start with this gentleman.
So you were talking about how you obviously get a lot of petitions. Is there a level where you guys won't accept certain petitions, or is there an extent where you won't allow a petition on your website?
Good question. We have content guidelines, so no hate speech, no threats, nothing illegal, no posting copyrighted material, that kind of thing. As far as just an issue, no, we do not pick and choose. We do not editorialize. As long as you abide by our content guidelines, as I mentioned, just nothing that, we don't want anything that any non-upstanding citizen would put up there. Our audiences are free market, limited government oriented, but anyone is welcome to come to StandUnited and create a petition on any issue. So.
And off of that, is there like any petitions that the website will personally like share themselves or no? Like you guys won't?
That will help promote, you mean?
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
And in fact, StandUnited will on occasion put our own petitions up. And so it'll be a petition by StandUnited. We will typically, petitions that we think are interesting, we might share on Facebook or we might email to our user base.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we also do a Facebook Live broadcast every Friday, and it's Liz and I, another staff member, and we love looking at petitions that were submitted by users and saying, this is awesome, our people would love this. And even if it's a small local issue, it's a really cool thing to highlight then. So again, your success is our success, and if we think it's something that resonates with our audience, we are totally happy to share it. All right, yes.
So, I guess in a university, since we're all college students that are kind of here, how do you, presenting a petition to like the university president or to the Board of Education, how do you get the right target audience? Because they probably won't look at signatures that aren't students typically. How does that work with getting the right audience and having it mean the most?
Right, yeah, so the question is how to make sure that you're attracting the right supporters that who are really going to influence the decision maker. There are a number of ways that you can target the petition just through social. On Facebook you can do targeting. For that particular case where maybe you're it's a campus issue, I would just focus, I would go to the campus groups, right? So you're using organizations made up of the supporters that you're trying to target. And so you could raise the issue with the groups directly or through online channels, flyers. You have the benefit of knowing where your supporters are physically. It can be trickier maybe with a national audience, but I will say the great thing about petitions, and this is a fundamental thing, you put your issue up on StandUnited, and people who agree with your issue, people who are touched by your issue, who are affected by it, they are sort of naturally drawn to it. So they'll sign your petition. The people who who are not affected by it are not likely to do that. So the petition almost naturally weeds out the people who are impacted. Do you know what I mean? And so that's a big benefit of the petition as a grassroots movement builder.
Another great way to kind of highlight the campus community is go to the alumni groups. There will be lots of alumni Facebook pages out there, and they will be all over issues like this one. There's also the option to put a line in your petition reasons for signing, for why is this important. Put a line in there that says, if you're part of our campus, use your .edu email address. And then we can actually help you say, this is how many signers came through with a @schoolname.edu email. So we can help in that regard, and that's something that you can embed in the petition that they can use as well.
I think we actually have a question from our online audience.
Okay, great.
Let's take that.
It said, what differentiates you from change.org?
Yeah, so how are we different from change.org? The petition process is actually very similar. We tend to focus on issues that are more aligned with limited government, free enterprise audiences. Really, the functionality very similar. We created StandUnited because we saw all these liberal progressive websites, petition websites, and there was nothing for center-right audiences. So we very much, the way I view it, it's a symbiotic relationship with Change and Care 2, because you're going to have the liberals, progressives on one side, and they can go to those sites. And folks on the other side now have StandUnited, and so you can have, countering, competing petitions. But the functionality very different. For advocacy groups who work with us to promote their petitions, we do deliver petition letters directly to Congress, as well as state legislators, and Change.org does not do that. So that's one differentiator. So in the back, way back.
So one of the problems with getting the younger generation who mainly see electronic things now on their mobile phone is just getting them to take the time to go through and do something. Everything is they want it to be done immediately. What is the process that someone who sees a great petition, agrees with it, what's the process that person takes to physically sign it? Is there an account they have to set up? Is it simply enter your name?
Yeah, great question. Like, how easy is it to go sign a petition? We deliberately set up StandUnited so that the account, and there is an account because we're a user based, and I can tell you why we have an account. But the first time you sign a petition, it's created automatically for you. So you're entering your name, email, zip code. And when you sign for the very first time, as long as your email is not recognized, the account information is just emailed to you. The reason we have the account system is because, A, if you want to create a petition, if you're actually going to start it, you're going to need to go in and manage it. And B, people who sign multiple petitions, you'll want to keep track of them. And the only way we can identify a user with their petitions is if we authenticate them. So, but then we've made it easy to sign a petition out of an email. So say you've opted in to receive some email from StandUnited. So we send you, hey, here's a great new petition. Click here to sign it. We've set it up so that you can click the link and sign the petition without having to log in separately. So we actually didn't start out with that feature, but we added it because users requested it. So really it's name, email, zip. If it's going to Congress, we get address, but that's required by Congress, not by us. Very simple though.
Also, your Facebook one-click is...
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And there is a promotion tool that we use through Facebook, and it automatically pulls your info in, and you can actually sign from a Facebook embedded form. So
Without
that's
having
kind
to leave Facebook. So if you see a petition on your Facebook feed, you just click sign, and it pulls your information. You don't have to leave Facebook.
There was one in the next to last row.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question regarding, what's your rate of return signers? Once they sign one, how often are they signing another one?
Yeah, well, it's amazing. We have a metric, and it the last I checked, it was like 4.4 signatures per user. So we're getting multiple signers, and yep, that number is going to vary a little bit depending on what petitions are there, right? And are there several that maybe are aligned or maybe are attracting maybe the users of a similar persuasion. But yeah, we get a lot of multiple signers, so that's actually surprised us a little bit, even the degree. So yeah, go ahead.
So once you hit the target amount of people that sign, how does that work? Like the next step in getting those signatures out to who they need to go to, who you're directing them to?
You download them. You download them, and again, getting back to the using the media potentially. If you can physically hand deliver the list of your signers, all the better. But it is up to the petition creator to do the delivery. You download the list of your signers from the petition management area, and then you go deliver them. Really, because it's going to vary from petition to petition what the best way to do that. In some cases, you may want to email it. In other cases, you may want to deliver paper. So.
We probably have time for maybe one more live question. One
Okay.
more question from the
Do we have the live one? Or should we go,
Go back from
we'll go right here?
So I was just wondering, you talk a lot about how it works with Facebook, but is StandUnited like compatible with any other like social media like Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that?
Yeah, we use basically like a widget, like an add this or share this. And so there are, I think at any given time, maybe 20 social networks that are integrated with it. So yeah, it's very easy to do. Email is a great way to share as well. But yeah, so we use the Open Graph tags so that your image is automatically pulled into Facebook if you're sharing it on Facebook. So.
Yeah, I mean, Twitter, Instagram, anything you can do. If you even take a Snapchat picture, obviously you're not going to get the link, but in this day and age, it's a great way to show people what you're up to. So we're compatible with all kinds of social networks, even LinkedIn.
Do we have one?
Yes. Do you have any examples of petitions on StandUnited that actually achieved change?
Yeah, several. So we've had so Fort Worth, Texas, there was a transgender bathroom policy. A petition has gathered parent support and has helped influence the debate in that school district. We had the Portsmouth, Virginia Confederate Monument. So there was a movement to replace a Confederate monument in Portsmouth, Virginia, and it was actually a petition on StandUnited to take it down. Soon thereafter, a petition to save the monument was started on StandUnited, and it quickly overwhelmed the one to replace it. And the monument is still there, has not gone anywhere, thanks to that uprising of support. So. Are we out of time?
I mean, maybe one more.
All right.
That's probably it.
Okay, just
One more.
Can we start as a group or organization, or do we need an individual?
You can absolutely start as a group.
Okay.
We support both. We work with a lot of advocacy groups, but any individual can go create a petition on StandUnited at any time. We want to thank everyone, our Facebook Live audience, students at BYU, anyone else watching. Thank you to Catholic University Republicans for hosting us and for attending, and we'll see you all again soon. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you guys.